Empty Epsilon scenario writing, name your ships. The first thing I'll do is run over to another scenario and grab the required generateCallSign scenario utility line to put at the top, because we will be using that to name the non-player ships. Now I want to show you a creation of a player ship name list, which is actually going to be a table within a table. So we'll have player ship names 4, and the exterior part of that is going to be the template names of the player ships in empty Epsilon. We'll start with Atlantis, because that's like the first one on the list. And then we'll say the Atlantis is going to be equal to another list, and that list is going to be the list of player ship names that we want to use. Now you can set up the player ship names like this, one after the other, and this is the standard integer-based list inside the list that is key-based, the key being the template name. You can do them like I started to do, one on each line, or you can do it all in one line like this. The ship names will be an integer-based list. At the end of your list, you have the comma to separate the items. Now, I don't want to type all this, so I'm just going to go back to that scenario and copy all the names that I've come up with before. You can, of course, make your own list. You can copy this list, do whatever you want, so that you can have interesting player ship names. You'll notice they're in alphabetical order, the last one being leftovers, which is not in alphabetical order, because leftovers is not a template name. That's what happens when we can't find a template for a given player ship. I'll show you here in this routine that we're going to add to setPlayers how to use that. So we set up a local name, ship name. We use the table remove random. We'll say the player ship names 4, and we'll use the function getTypeName, which returns the template name for the ship. That's what we use to get the list, and then we'll choose at random from the list. If we can't find one, we use leftovers, and then we take that and we put it in setCallSign. Let's use the generateCallSign utility for the items that we've created that are not player ships. Like, we'll start with the distressed freighter. So we set callsign and we say generateCallSign nil, and we're going to specify our lineans. That first parameter there, nil, that we're not using is if we want to have 2 prefixes. Like, for example, let's say you wanted Excaliber space Q45. You could use that to get that. What we're doing here would be the equivalent of just Excaliber 45. We're going to go through a list, the current list of enemy ships, to do the same kind of thing, except we're going to use the Craylor as the list that we're selecting from, the name that we're selecting from. For the transports, we're going to generateCallSign, and we're going to go use the list of independent names that we have out there. Let's now do our research vessel. It is also independent, so once again, we'll set callsign, use the generateCallSign external utility, and pick from the list of independent names. Let's now go make sure that the enemies that we generate have randomly generated names as well. For the bug, we'll have bug set callsign, generateCallSign, nil, and Craylor, so that we can pick from the Craylor list of names. And similarly for the chasers, except of course we'll use chaser now instead of bug, we'll name each of those ships as well. Hopefully this will give you some inspiration to come up with some names, or to name some of your items in your scenario that are not just the engine generated ones. So you see we have a player ship and it's been given the name Excaliber. We have another player ship and it is given the name Parchim, which are just random selections. Let's go see what else we got selected. For the enemy ships, we have Nagblad 8, we have Volkerd 9, we have Fintrip 10, Dotark 13, Yukov Waklak 26, Crew Fletch 20. Now the independent names are like randomly selected from names that sound like others. Like this is Decode 23, which came from the Ghost type name. The idea being that we're getting leftover ships from other factions. Now the Arlenian gets its own name as well, Quillere.